how to react when things don't go our way. This question just popped into my head like last night, and I was thinking, you know, some days we just don't get it our way. We have our lives kind of planned out, and we don't, if something doesn't go according to our plan, then we're like, we can be mad sometimes or frustrated, questioning God, you know, why not my way? You know, this was supposed to happen and then you didn't let it happen, you know. But how about instead of getting angry and mad at God, you know, kind of look at things from his perspective. He is our Father. He's in control of the whole universe, time, everything, and every detail of our lives, and he knows best, not us. So why don't we let him, you know, take the reins and control our lives, and we can just sit in the back seat and he drives. But sometimes that can be hard to just let it all go. So I like this verse. It's in 1 Thessalonians. I mean, you may not relate it to this, but I kind of do. It's 1 Thessalonians 5, 16 to 18, which says, "Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." So those verses, I feel like could be a good way to respond in any situation in life, because it does say, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. So no matter what happens, we can rejoice always, pray continually, and give thanks in all circumstances. All circumstances, no matter what's going on. It could be good or bad. And sometimes what we view as bad things happening in our lives might not be bad, actually. You know, because God's got a whole different lens when it comes to life than we do. So if we can, like, rejoice always. Rejoicing, you know, like, just being joyful no matter what comes our way. So, like, this thing didn't go your way, but we can still rejoice. We need to find ways we can find joy in it. Hey, this didn't go my way, but I am still alive, and I still am breathing, you know, so I still got a purpose, and that thing that happened that way also has a purpose. And pray continually, you know, praying when we talk to God. And this could be anything from, you know, it doesn't matter how to pray to God, you know. If it's just your sincere prayer of how you're going to pray to God, then God loves that. And so I've noticed it a lot more. Pray continually, you know, continually, constantly are other versions. And that might seem like, oh, like that'd be all the time and stuff, but that's how it used to seem for me. But these days I find myself unconsciously just like constantly talking to God about everything, like praying continually, like, and it's normal now. And you know, really, I thought about that, how normal that should be, because if we're gonna spend eternity with him one day in heaven, you know, why not spend every moment here with him and prepare for that? Because imagine we didn't spend much time in prayer talking to him or growing in intimacy with him, and then one day we get to heaven, and then, you know, you would feel like you barely knew him or spent time with him here, or it might feel unnormal for you to be there for eternity with God, you know, always and stuff. So yeah, praying continually is actually a really good thing. And give thanks in all circumstances. Give thanks in all circumstances. No matter what happens, we need to find a way and the strength to still give thanks to God and Jesus. And because, like, we need to think about it. What if this didn't go our way? But you know, God, I like thinking about this. I've always thought this, how, like, when we make choices, there's so many choices we could make. And then when we make this certain choice that we think that we want this to happen, so we make this choice, but then it ends up somehow not happening our way, you know? And then it's like, man, oh, that's depressing, you know, this is my thing I wanted to happen, it didn't happen the way I wanted. Okay, but think about it this way. What if, you know, obviously God knows, like, everything, what each choice leads to, like the consequence or what would happen after that, the aftermath, and like, what if it wasn't gonna be good for you after all? Because sometimes we have things so planned out, every detail, and that makes it a lot less interesting in some ways, because we think that's what we want, and then sometimes we end up getting it and it's like, well, that wasn't as great as I thought it was gonna be. But when we let God take the reins and he lets his will be done and we trust him with it, then a lot of times, even though in the process it may seem like it's not going to be that great, but then when God ends up pulling it all together and stuff, and then we're like, oh, this is actually good. It turned out really nice, and it was for a good purpose and stuff. So I think we just need to trust him with that. And in my devotions today, I actually read something, they worded it some way about how, like, having faith, like, how are you gonna have faith if you're not gonna, like, basically trust God with what he knows and what you don't know, basically. So, like, imagine you knew everything that was coming in the future. Yeah, then that'd be like trusting in yourself. But when faith comes in and trust in the Lord, that's like when we don't know what's coming, but we're still going to trust him and have faith that it's going to be for something good and he's got it all planned out. Because if we did know, that's not trusting the Lord. That's just like, or having faith, that's just like, oh, easy living, you know, this is my plan, and it's going, and I know everything that's about to come, so I'm not scared. Yeah, well, faith can be scary sometimes because we don't know what's coming. Nobody does except the Lord. And so that really, just look at it that way. If your circumstances are out of your control and it seems like everything's going crazy and stuff, think about it, how the Lord has still got a good plan for you and what's happening. Everything's going to end up getting, all the loose ends get tied at the end and stuff, and the Lord's going to work it out. Imagine that. That's just an opportunity to grow your faith in him, you know? So, yeah, my advice, try to rejoice always, pray continually, and give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus.